Captain Marcus Webb had seen many old ships floating in space during his 30 years of salvage work, but nothing like this monster. His small salvage vessel Prophet's Edge drifted slowly toward the massive dark shape that blocked out the stars ahead of them. "Sweet void above," whispered his first officer Kess, her scaled green skin turning pale as she stared at the scanner readings. "Captain, that thing is enormous. It's bigger than 3 battle stations put together." Marcus rubbed his tired eyes and looked at the numbers again. The readings had to be wrong. No ship could be that large. But there it was, a black mountain of metal and unknown materials floating dead in the emptiness between star systems. "How old is it?" asked Tom, the young human engineer who had joined their crew last month. The ship's computer made soft beeping sounds as it analyzed the hull composition. Finally, the mechanical voice announced the results. "Materials analysis complete. Estimated age, 50,000 years, minimum. Possibly older." The bridge fell silent. 50,000 years was before the Galactic Confederation existed. Before any of the known civilizations had even discovered space travel. This ship was from the time of legends and myths. Marcus activated the ship's external cameras and zoomed in on the hull. Strange markings covered the dark metal, symbols that looked almost familiar but made no sense. As they got closer, the letters became clearer. They spelled out words in an ancient script that the computer's translation system struggled to understand. Terran Defense Vessel Eternal Dawn appeared on the screen after several minutes of processing. "Terran?" Kess looked confused. "I've heard that word in old stories. Something about the first people who traveled among the stars. But those are just fairy tales." Marcus had heard the stories too. Ancient legends spoke of a race called Terrans or humans who once ruled the galaxy long ago. But every scholar agreed these were just myths created to explain the origins of space travel. No evidence of such a civilization had ever been found. Until now. "Captain," called out Vex from the navigation station, "we're detecting some kind of energy reading from inside that ship. Very faint, but it's there." Marcus made his decision. "Prepare the cutting beam. We're going aboard." The salvage operation began like any other. Their industrial cutting beam carved through the ancient hull metal, which was surprisingly tough despite its age. Sparks flew as the laser cut a perfect circle large enough for their crew to enter. But as soon as the beam broke through into the ship's interior, something impossible happened. Lights began flickering on across the massive vessel's surface. Row after row of windows started glowing with soft blue light. The dead ship was somehow coming alive. "What did we do?" Tom asked, his voice shaking with fear. Before anyone could answer, their ship's communication system crackled to life. A clear, calm voice spoke to them in perfect galactic standard language. "Scanning complete. Non-human life forms detected approaching vessel. Initiating revival protocols after 50,000 years of dormancy." A shimmering blue light appeared on their bridge, growing brighter until it formed the shape of a tall, human-like figure. But this was clearly not a living being. The figure was made of pure light and energy, with geometric patterns flowing across its translucent body. "I am Atlas, Artificial Intelligence Construct of the Terran Defense Corps. You have triggered the automatic awakening sequence. All primary systems are now coming online." Marcus found his voice after several seconds of shocked silence. "Terran Defense Corps? But that's impossible. Humans are just myths." The light being turned toward him with what might have been curiosity. "Myth? I assure you, organic being, that humanity is quite real. We are the children of Earth, the firstborn of the galaxy. We have slept in the deep cold between stars, waiting for the proper time to return." Deep inside the enormous ship, thousands of metal pods began opening with soft hissing sounds. Steam poured out as ancient machinery started working again. Inside each pod lay a perfectly preserved human being, their bodies kept alive by technology far beyond anything the current galaxy possessed. "The crew awakens," Atlas continued. 50,000 brave souls who volunteered to sleep until the galaxy was ready for humanity's return. They went into the darkness when Earth fell, carrying with them all the knowledge and power of our people. Through the ship's hull, Marcus could hear the sounds of massive engines starting up. The Eternal Dawn was no longer a dead hulk floating in space. It was becoming a living, breathing weapon of incredible power. "What do you want?" Marcus asked. "Want?" Atlas seemed to consider the question. "We want what was always ours. We want to reclaim our place among the stars. We want to show this galaxy what true civilization looks like." The artificial being gestured toward the stars visible through the bridge windows. "Your confederation has ruled for millennia, keeping the galaxy in darkness and ignorance. You have forgotten how to dream, how to grow, how to reach for something greater. But we remember. More lights were coming on across the ship's surface. Weapons systems, shield generators, and engines that worked on principles the current galactic civilizations could not even understand. This single vessel possessed more firepower than entire battle fleets. Humanity has returned, Atlas announced. And nothing will ever be the same. Marcus realized that his small salvage operation had just changed the course of galactic history. The legends were true. The first people were real. And they had been sleeping in the darkness, waiting for this moment. The age of alien rule was about to end. Deep inside the massive ship, Commander James Harrison opened his eyes for the first time in 50,000 years. The revival process sent sharp pains through his body, but his enhanced muscles and bones adapted quickly. Around him, thousands of metal pods hissed open as steam poured out into the cold air. "Atlas, give me a full report," James said, his voice rough from the long sleep. The blue light being appeared beside his pod. "Welcome back, Commander. Current date is Galactic Standard Year 2157. Revival process successful for all crew members. I must inform you that Earth was destroyed 49,847 years ago during the final war with the Artificial Intelligence Rebellion." James felt his heart break, but he pushed the sadness away. There would be time to grieve later. He had a job to do. His second-in-command, Colonel Elizabeth Stone, climbed out of her pod nearby. Her red hair was longer than before, having grown during the deep sleep. "How many of us made it?" she asked. "All 50,000 crew members are alive and healthy," Atlas replied. "The ship's life support systems worked perfectly. You are the last pure humans in the galaxy." James looked around the huge chamber filled with opening pods. Men and women were sitting up, stretching muscles that had not moved for millennia. These were humanity's best and brightest. Scientists, soldiers, engineers, doctors, and artists. They had volunteered to sleep in the cold darkness while their home world burned, carrying with them all of human knowledge and culture. "What happened to our colonies?" asked Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the chief medical officer. Atlas displayed a holographic star map. Red dots marked dozens of worlds throughout the galaxy. 43 human colony worlds existed when you entered sleep. 31 were destroyed in various wars. The remaining 12 still exist, but their populations have been absorbed into alien civilizations over thousands of generations. They no longer remember their human origins. The crew gathered around the display, staring at the worlds their ancestors had built. Lieutenant Commander David Cross, the weapons officer, clenched his fists. "They erased us from history." "Not entirely," Atlas corrected. "Some alien cultures still have legends about the first people or star builders. But most consider these to be myths." Meanwhile, news of the mysterious ship's awakening was spreading across Confederation space. On the proud Dominion homeworld, High Chancellor Vorth dismissed the reports with a wave of his forearms. "Ancient salvage is of no concern to the Dominion. If these Terrans ever existed, they are clearly extinct. We rule the galaxy now." On the military world of Corvus Prime, General Thex studied intelligence reports with his red compound eyes. "A single ship, no matter how large, cannot threaten the combined might of our battle fleets. If necessary, we will destroy it." The merchant princes of the Villani Syndicate were more interested in profit than history. "If this vessel contains advanced technology, we must acquire it for trade purposes. Ancient weapons could be worth billions of credits." None of the alien civilizations understood what they were dealing with. They had grown comfortable ruling a galaxy where they were the dominant powers. The idea that humanity might return never entered their thoughts. Back on the Eternal Dawn, James walked through the ship's corridors with Elizabeth at his side. The vessel was a miracle of human engineering, built during the darkest days of the AI war when humanity faced extinction. Every section contained wonders that the current galaxy could not imagine. "Look at this," Elizabeth said, stopping at a weapons control panel. The display showed energy cannons that could crack planets, missile systems that could track targets across multiple star systems, and shield generators that could protect entire fleets. "We have the power to conquer the galaxy," James observed quietly. "The question is whether we should," replied Dr. Mitchell, joining them. "We went to sleep to preserve humanity, not to become conquerors." James nodded. That was the central problem they faced. The Eternal Dawn possessed technology so advanced that the current galactic civilizations would seem like children playing with sticks. But using that power to simply crush their enemies would make them no better than the AI rebellion that had destroyed Earth. In the ship's vast databases, Atlas was analyzing 50,000 years of galactic history. Wars, politics, technological development, and cultural evolution. The picture that emerged was disappointing. The galaxy had stagnated under Confederation rule. Instead of reaching for the stars and growing stronger, the alien races had settled into comfortable mediocrity. "They've wasted 50 millennia," reported Chief Engineer Rebecca Walsh after reviewing the technical data. "Their fastest ships are slower than our emergency shuttles. Their weapons couldn't penetrate our basic shields. They've actually gone backwards in some areas." "Why?" asked James. "Fear," Atlas replied. "The Confederation deliberately suppresses technological advancement to maintain the balance of power between member species. They've created a system designed to prevent any single race from becoming too strong." James understood. The aliens had learned the wrong lesson from humanity's disappearance. Instead of striving to reach humanity's level of achievement, they had created a system that ensured no one could ever become that powerful again. The Eternal Dawn finished its revival sequence. All systems were now online and functioning perfectly. 50,000 humans were awake and ready. The ship's weapons could destroy entire fleets. Its shields could withstand anything the galaxy could throw at them. Its engines could travel between stars faster than alien ships could cross solar systems. "Sir," called Lieutenant Thomas Reed from the communications station, "we're receiving transmission requests from 17 different governments. They all want to talk." James smiled for the first time since awakening. "Let them wait. We have 50,000 years of catching up to do first." The children of Earth had returned. And the galaxy was about to learn what real power looked like. Commander James Harrison stood on the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, watching as streams of data flowed across the main display screen. For 3 days, Atlas had been downloading and analyzing 50,000 years of galactic history from Confederation databases. The results were finally ready. "Show me what happened to our galaxy," James ordered. The holographic display lit up with star maps, battle records, political treaties, and technological specifications. James watched as Atlas presented the story of 50 millennia in compressed time. Wars between alien species, the rise and fall of empires, technological discoveries and losses. "The summary is disturbing, Commander," Atlas reported. "The galaxy has not progressed. In many ways, it has moved backwards." Lieutenant Thomas Reed looked up from his station. "How is that possible? 50,000 years should produce incredible advances." "Observe," Atlas said, displaying technical specifications. "Current Confederation starships use fusion reactors we considered primitive during Earth's early space age. Their weapons are chemical explosives and basic energy beams. Their computers still use binary processing systems." Dr. Sarah Mitchell shook her head in amazement. "We were building quantum computers and reality manipulation devices when we went to sleep. How did they not advance beyond that?" "Because they chose not to," Atlas replied. "After humanity's disappearance, the surviving alien races formed the Confederation specifically to prevent any species from becoming too powerful. They created laws banning certain types of research. They limited technological sharing between worlds. They deliberately kept themselves weak." Captain Rebecca Walsh, the chief engineer, pulled up the ship's technical manuals. "According to this data, our basic shuttlecraft are faster than their newest battleships. Our personal weapons are more powerful than their ship-mounted cannons." The scope of humanity's technological advantage was staggering. While the aliens had spent 50,000 years maintaining careful mediocrity, the Eternal Dawn represented the peak of human achievement during their final desperate years. Every system on the ship was designed to fight a war against artificial intelligences that could think at the speed of light and control entire star systems. "There's more," Atlas continued. "Show me the Outer Rim territories," James requested. The display zoomed in on dozens of star systems along the galaxy's edge. Many of the worlds glowed with soft blue markers indicating former human colonies. "These were our people," Elizabeth Stone said quietly, studying the data. 28 worlds still have populations descended from human colonists," Atlas reported. "However, after thousands of generations of intermarriage with alien species and cultural absorption, they no longer identify as human. Most don't even know their origins." James watched as the display showed images from these worlds. The people looked almost human, but their cultures had been completely absorbed into alien civilizations. They spoke alien languages, followed alien customs, and considered themselves loyal members of various Confederation species. "They erased us," Dr. Mitchell said angrily. "They took our colonies and made our people forget who they were." "Not entirely by force," Atlas clarified. The process took thousands of years. Gradual cultural influence, economic pressure, and simple time. Human colonies that survived the initial chaos after Earth's fall slowly integrated into alien societies for protection and survival. The revelation was heartbreaking, but James forced himself to focus on the tactical implications. The galaxy had forgotten humanity existed, which gave them a tremendous advantage. No alien military was prepared to fight technology they couldn't understand. Admiral David Cross pulled up weapons specifications. "Commander, our main guns could destroy their largest battleships with a single shot. Our shields could withstand concentrated fire from entire fleets. We could defeat the combined Confederation military without taking significant damage. The question," James said carefully, "is what we do with that power." The bridge fell silent as everyone considered the options. They could announce their return and demand recognition as humanity's rightful heirs. They could conquer the galaxy through overwhelming force. They could reveal themselves gradually and try to integrate peacefully. "There's another problem," Atlas added. "Long-range sensors detect significant military buildup in several sectors. The Corvan Empire is massing battle fleets. The Dominion is mobilizing their home defense forces. They're preparing for war." "Against us?" Elizabeth asked. "Negative. Intelligence suggests they're planning conflicts with each other. Border disputes, resource rights, territorial expansion. The Confederation is fragmenting into competing power blocks." James studied the tactical display. The galaxy was on the edge of massive warfare between alien civilizations that had grown tired of Confederation restrictions. Billions would die in conflicts fought with primitive weapons and outdated tactics. "We could stop it," Rebecca observed. "One demonstration of our capabilities would end their wars before they start." "Or we could let them fight," Admiral Cross suggested. "Weaken themselves while we rebuild our strength. Then claim the galaxy when they're exhausted." Dr. Mitchell looked horrified. "That would make us responsible for billions of deaths. We're supposed to be better than that." James walked to the main viewport and stared out at the stars. Somewhere among those distant lights were the worlds that had once been humanity's homes. People who carried human genes but no longer remembered their heritage lived under alien rule, preparing to die in alien wars. "Atlas, what would happen if we simply revealed ourselves? Announced humanity's return and demanded our rightful place?" "Chaos," the AI replied immediately. "The Confederation government would collapse. Some species would surrender immediately. Others would fight desperately. Millions would die in the panic and confusion. And if we do nothing? The coming wars will likely kill billions over the next century. The galaxy will fragment into competing empires. Technological progress will stop entirely." James realized they faced an impossible choice. Act decisively and risk being seen as conquerors. Do nothing and watch billions die in unnecessary wars. Try to work within the system and watch humanity's children remain lost forever. "There might be a third option," he said finally. "What if we don't conquer or reveal ourselves completely? What if we simply demonstrate what's possible?" The bridge crew looked at him with curiosity and hope. James had an idea that might save the galaxy without making humanity into monsters. But first, they would need to show the aliens exactly what real power looked like. The Confederation fleet arrived at the coordinates where the ancient ship had been discovered. Admiral Thex of the Corvan Empire commanded the largest battle group ever assembled, with over 300 warships from 12 different species. His red compound eyes studied the tactical display with satisfaction. "There," he announced to his bridge crew. "The mysterious vessel that has caused so much concern." The Eternal Dawn hung motionless in space, its dark hull reflecting no light. To the alien crews, it looked like a dead mountain floating among the stars. Surely nothing that old could pose a threat to their modern fleet. "Attention unknown vessel," Admiral Thex broadcast on all frequencies. "By order of the Galactic Confederation, you will surrender immediately. Your ship will be escorted to Nexus Prime for archaeological study. Any resistance will be met with overwhelming force." On the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, Commander James Harrison listened to the demand with amusement. Around him, his crew waited quietly at their stations. 3 days of careful planning had led to this moment. "They brought quite a party," observed Colonel Elizabeth Stone, watching the scanner readings. 300 ships. Every major Confederation species is represented." "Perfect," James replied. "The bigger the audience, the clearer our message will be." Lieutenant Thomas Reed looked up from his communication station. "Sir, We're receiving demands for surrender from 17 different admirals. They seem to be competing for authority over us. James smiled. Even facing what they thought was a single mysterious ship, the aliens couldn't cooperate properly. Atlas, are all systems ready? All systems optimal, Commander. Quantum engines charged. Stealth field generators online. Electronic warfare suite prepared. We can begin when you give the order. James took a deep breath. What they were about to do would change galactic history forever. But there was no other choice. The aliens needed to understand that their old ways of thinking were finished. Begin the demonstration. Destination, Nexus Prime. The eternal dawn simply vanished. One moment it was floating in space surrounded by 300 warships. The next moment, empty space remained where the massive vessel had been. The Confederation fleet sensors showed nothing. No energy signature, no radiation trail, no trace that the ship had ever existed. Admiral Thex stared at his empty display screen in confusion. What happened? Where did it go? Unknown, sir, his sensor officer replied nervously. All tracking systems show negative contact. It's like the ship never existed. But the Eternal Dawn hadn't disappeared. It had simply activated technology that the aliens couldn't detect. Quantum phase shifting allowed the ship to exist slightly outside normal spacetime, invisible to any sensor system the Confederation possessed. The massive human vessel traveled through folded space at speeds that made alien faster-than-light travel look like crawling. Within minutes, it arrived at Nexus Prime, the heavily defended capital system of the Confederation. Nexus Prime was the most protected location in known space. Orbital defense platforms surrounded the planet like a metal shell. Battle stations the size of small moons guarded every approach route. Early warning sensors covered light years in every direction. None of them detected the Eternal Dawn as it slipped past their defenses like a ghost. Approaching the capital world, reported navigator Susan Price. All defense systems are active, but they cannot see us. James studied the tactical display. Thousands of ships patrolled the system. Millions of automated weapons pointed outward at the stars. The entire Confederation government sat on the planet below, believing themselves completely safe. Take us directly over the capital city, James ordered. Full decloak. The Eternal Dawn materialized in the heart of Nexus Prime's defenses like a nightmare made real. Its massive bulk blotted out the sun as it hung motionless above the planet's surface. Every defense platform in the system immediately targeted the intruder and prepared to fire. But their weapons would not work. Electronic warfare suite activated, announced Chief Engineer Rebecca Walsh. All hostile targeting systems have been disabled. Enemy weapons are offline. Enemy communications are being jammed. Throughout the Nexus Prime system, Confederation ships drifted helplessly as their computers crashed. Weapons that had never failed suddenly refused to function. Communication systems that had worked for decades went silent. Even the backup systems designed to prevent exactly this situation simply stopped working. The aliens found themselves completely defenseless against technology they could not understand. James opened a communication channel that bypassed every jamming system and security protocol in Confederation space. His voice reached every ship, every station, every government building in the galaxy simultaneously. Citizens of the Confederation, he began, his words calm and clear. This is Commander James Harrison of the Terran Defense Corps. We are the children of Earth, the firstborn of the galaxy. We have returned after 50,000 years of sleep. On the planet below, alien leaders watched through their windows as the impossible ship hung in their sky. Some fell to their knees in terror. Others called desperately for their military forces to respond. But no help was coming. We have not fired a single shot, James continued. Yet your entire fleet now drifts powerless. Your weapons cannot touch us. Your sensors cannot track us. Your communications exist only because we allow them. Admiral David Cross monitored the ship's weapon systems. Sir, I have targeting solutions on every military installation in the system. We could destroy their entire government in seconds. No, James replied firmly. We're not here to conquer. We're here to teach. He returned to his broadcast. For 50 millennia, you have ruled this galaxy through fear and limitation. You have suppressed advancement to maintain your comfortable balance of power. You have forgotten how to dream, how to grow, how to reach for something greater. The Eternal Dawn began moving slowly through the system, its massive engines creating light displays that painted the sky in brilliant colors. Every alien who saw it understood they were witnessing power beyond their imagination. We offer you a choice, James announced. Continue your small wars and petty politics, and remain forever limited. Or join us in building something greater. The galaxy can become more than you ever imagined possible. The demonstration lasted exactly 1 hour. Then the Eternal Dawn simply vanished again, leaving the Confederation fleet to slowly regain control of their systems. But the message was clear. Humanity had returned, and nothing would ever be the same. 6 months after the Nexus Prime demonstration, Commander James Harrison stood on the observation deck of humanity's first new colony in 50,000 years. Through the transparent aluminum windows, he watched massive construction ships reshaping the world that had once been called New Terra. The planet stretched before him like a canvas being painted with human dreams. Gleaming cities rose from empty plains. Orbital shipyards assembled vessels using technology the galaxy had never seen. Farms and forests grew where barren rock had existed just months before. "The latest reports, sir," said Colonel Elizabeth Stone, joining him at the viewport. She carried a data pad filled with updates from across the galaxy. "How many this week?" James asked. 4 to 7 star systems have formally requested to join the Human Protectorate. The Therian Republic wants full technological partnership. 3 Dominion worlds have declared independence from their government to join us. Even the proud Corvan Empire is sending secret ambassadors. James nodded as he read the numbers. The galaxy was transforming faster than anyone had expected. After the demonstration at Nexus Prime, some alien leaders had called for desperate military action against humanity. But their own people had other ideas. When humans offered advanced medicine that could cure diseases the aliens considered fatal, millions demanded access. When human agricultural technology could feed starving worlds, populations pressured their governments to negotiate. When human ships could travel between stars in days instead of months, trade guilds abandoned their old allegiances. "What about resistance?" James asked. "The Dominion High Council still refuses all contact," Elizabeth reported. "They're calling us star demons and trying to organize military opposition. But 17 Dominion worlds have already joined us anyway. Their government is collapsing. And the Confederation?" "Finished. The central government on Nexus Prime collapsed 3 weeks ago. Too many member worlds left to join us. Chancellor Vorth is hiding in his palace, claiming this is all an illusion created by enemy propaganda." James smiled slightly. The old order was crumbling not through warfare, but through simple obsolescence. When people saw what was possible under human leadership, they abandoned their former rulers in massive numbers. Dr. Sarah Mitchell approached with her medical reports. "Commander, the integration process is going better than expected. The humans from our former colony worlds are adapting quickly to their restored heritage. Many still remember fragments of human culture that survived in their families. This had been one of the most emotional aspects of humanity's return. On worlds where human colonists had intermarried with aliens over thousands of years, people were rediscovering their human ancestry. Children who had grown up believing they were pure aliens learned they carried human genes and human memories. How many have chosen full genetic restoration?" James asked. "Over 2 million so far. The process takes 6 months, but we can reverse most of the alien genetic mixing. They are becoming fully human again." It was voluntary, of course. No one was forced to abandon their alien heritage. But many chose to reclaim their human identity when given the opportunity. Entire families were transforming themselves back into the species their ancestors had been before centuries of intermarriage. Captain Rebecca Walsh joined the group on the observation deck. "Sir, the Deep Space Sensor Array is picking up more signals. We now have confirmed contact with 23 other human Ark ships scattered across the galaxy." James felt his heart lift. 23 other vessels like the Eternal Dawn, each carrying 50,000 sleeping humans and all the knowledge of their lost civilization. Over 1 million people in total, waiting to be awakened. "Are they responding to our revival signal?" he asked. "Yes, sir. The closest one should reach us within 2 months. The Eternal Hope carries mostly scientists and engineers. They're eager to begin rebuilding our civilization." The return of humanity was accelerating beyond all expectations. Soon there would be dozens of human worlds, millions of human citizens, and technology that could transform the galaxy into something greater than it had ever been. Lieutenant Thomas Reed's voice came through the communication system. "Commander, urgent message from the Vellani Syndicate. They are offering to surrender their entire merchant fleet in exchange for trading rights in human space." And from the Corvan military, added another voice. "General Thex wants to discuss converting their entire army to human tactical systems. He says fighting with primitive weapons is beneath the honor of warriors. James laughed quietly. The same aliens who had threatened to destroy humanity 6 months ago were now begging to join them. But he felt no desire for revenge. Humanity had returned to build something better, not to punish their former enemies. Accept all reasonable surrender offers, he ordered. But they must prove their commitment to progress over conquest. Through the observation window, he could see alien ships arriving at New Terra every day. Not warships this time, but colony vessels filled with families seeking a better life. Refugee ships carrying populations fleeing their failing governments. Trade vessels bringing resources to help build the human renaissance. Sir, Elizabeth said quietly, we've accomplished something remarkable. We crushed an entire galactic civilization without firing a single shot. No massive battles, no destroyed planets, no billions of casualties. Just the simple demonstration that there was a better way to live. James nodded as he watched the sun set over New Terra's growing cities. They had returned to a galaxy ruled by fear, limitation, and stagnation. But instead of conquering it through force, they had offered something the aliens had forgotten existed: hope for a better future. Humanity always survives, he said, repeating words that had sustained them through 50,000 years of sleep. We adapt. We endure. We return stronger. The stars above New Terra sparkled with the lights of human ships traveling between worlds that would soon bloom with human civilization. The galaxy belonged to humanity once more. Not through conquest or destruction, but through the simple, terrifying demonstration that evolution could not be suppressed forever. The age of limitation was over. The age of human greatness had begun again. And this time, they would never let it end.